I'd like to thank you, Senators, for meeting with all of us today. My name is Anna Marie Ibrahim, and I am a veteran of the United States Air Force. Although I was discharged in 1977, it was a program that you've heard being offered today by the VSO in 2012 that brings me here before you now. It was an advertisement that if you brought a copy of your DD-214 to a community center, you could receive an ID card to receive 10% discount from local merchants that participated. So we loaded up the car and I went down there. Well, my DD-214 reflected an honorable discharge, but to the well-trained eye and educated and sensitive heart of the VSO, specifically Ted Quintillo, it told him a great deal more. It must have been an expression on my face or the pause between certain questions that caused him to take notice. You see, I was only allowed to serve our country for a little over a year when I was assaulted by a stranger. 4 days later, I was raped by this stranger and left bound in my barracks for several days. I was hospitalized for 4 days, and a week later I was discharged, hidden under the rug and out of sight. These facts weren't reflected in my DD-214, but Mr. Quintillo saw through them, as well as the expression on my face. Little did he know, he opened Pandora's box. He said he didn't know what had happened to me, but he thought that perhaps a further conversation would help, and he offered me his card, to which I quickly rebuked and said no. As I was walking away, he said some very poignant words. He said, "I'd like to thank you for your service to our country, and I believe that you might have now a voice that you didn't have at the age of 19 that could help others now in your same position." I thought long and hard about what he had to say, and I went to his office the following day. I explained to him that my skepticism was not about him personally, but was in fact about a department. It was about an organization that I had my skepticism. He thought and talked to me long and hard about what the VSO would do. He asked me if I had filed a claim, in which I told him yes, I promptly did, right after my discharge, and it was promptly denied without any exam whatsoever. I was encouraged by my family at that time and the stigma of the times to let the issue die, put it in the past. Easier said than done. The list of medications and issues that my family and I have dealt with over the years are far too long for me to share with you today. I am blessed to have a husband of 35 years who's with me, and our son, 29. Isn't it ironic that I ended up becoming an inspirational speaker who's traveled the world conducting seminars, but not on this issue, on many different ones? Ironic, yes. You see, Ted shared his trust in the system and transferred it to me. Filing the claim was beyond difficult. I discovered the long-term lethal gas of PTSD that had damaged my core, but both my family and the Veteran Service Office, they supported me through the entire process. When my medical records couldn't be located for over 6 months, the VSO came to my aid. When the document I submitted to the VA continued to disappear or become lost into a system despite my receipt of delivery, the VSO also came to my aid at every turn. When it came time for my 2-hour independent psychological review, I was again faced with an unexpected emotions and memories. The VSO extended their support and encouraged me while telling me of the programs available for victims of sexual assault. Throughout the 2-year claim process, Ted and his entire staff gave me both the guidance and the respect I needed to maintain my resolve. When the evidence prevailed and the facts could no longer be shoved under the rug, when the atrocities of 1977 could no longer be denied, and finally when my claim was approved and I got my benefits, they celebrated with me in the sadness and the frustration and the joy that 38 years later I received. Yes, everyone has challenges in their life. First, I had my physical rape. Then the second emotional rape by the military justice system that was in place at that time. I had health challenges with my husband's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, followed by the necessity of me to have my entire pancreatic, endocrine, and digestive system removed to prevent the spreading of my pancreatic cancer. But getting through the 2-year claim process to receive the vindication, as well as the benefits that I deserved, was a severe emotional challenge. Had I been without the knowledge, the support, and the services of the Veterans Services Office, I would not be here today to tell you this story. Yes, I am now appealing my claim. You see, they only gave me benefits back to the date that they finally received them in 2013, when they acknowledged that the brutal attack took place in '77. So I have a 2-year process ahead of me to fight, but I am confident with Ted, the VSO, and my family, I'll get through it. Sadly,
and the members of this committee.
Thank you very much. Sadly, as I sit in the service offices, I meet far too many veterans inquiring about the services to which they are entitled. Many of them are homeless, hungry, and disillusioned. I am amazed at the end of the day, in addition to the dozens of messages left on the voicemails of these officers, a stack of handwritten pink notes await them to work on long after the office is closed. I've decided to no longer conduct my inspirational seminars and talks to the private sector, and I have elected, when physically able, to volunteer all my services as a speaker and inspirationalist to the veterans and enlisted personnel about the necessity of resiliency, tenacity, and attitude. Thanks to Ted and all the VSO, I'm emotionally and financially in a little better position to do so.
That's powerful testimony, Anna Maria, and thank you. And you certainly are attesting to the Ted Patillo that I know. And I know he's representative of all of you, but he's a cut above that kind of empathy. And you know, I kind of amazed you. You anticipated my question to one of them. What was it like in 1977 compared to now? And in your own very traumatic situation, you spoke to, those times when you didn't talk about it.
Correct.
And there wasn't, just as we didn't know what post-traumatic stress syndrome was, we really didn't know a lot about battered women syndrome either, and violence towards women and the consequences of that. And you've dealt with all of it. I had the privilege of working with former Senators Sheba Kuehl and Jackie Speer when I was chairman of the Board of Prison Terms on the pioneering legislation on BWS. We weren't necessarily focused on veterans, it's just any woman who had been subjected to this trauma. But it is an issue we wanted to touch upon here today, and thank you for doing that.